what's going on? It's your man Diamond K, of course. The Diamond K Show, onfirebroadcasting.com, radio on fire. Thank you for joining me. And we have a lot to talk about today. Of course, we're going to be discussing Donald Trump and his flip-flopping. You know, Republicans tend to flip-flop. Donald Trump, they call him Taco, and they call him Taco for a reason, right? They say Trump always chickens out. So today we're going to talk about a dramatic development involving the United States and Iran. Just hours after Donald Trump threatened military action. Well, he's threatening some additional military action against Iran. He announced that he's talking tough, right? Then he announces that the planned strikes had been called off. Again, Trump chickening out. Talking tough, but then when it comes down to it, there is this sudden reversal. And this reversal has sparked a lot of questions across Washington, D.C., around the world, and among Americans who are wondering whether we are moving toward peace or simply taking a brief pause before the next round of this conflict that no one asked for. So we're going to break all of this down. It's no surprise that we're here. The Trump administration has definitely been inconsistent. So I want to kind of unpack what happened. How did we get here and what is going on? So earlier today, on Thursday, tensions have been appearing to be rising. Trump has been issuing some strong warnings toward Iran and suggested that the United States was preparing to take some additional military action. So let's keep in mind, no one's asking for this. We don't want this to happen. Trump's trying to find a way out of this. He is putting his foot in the mouth, though, because this peace talk that he has been trying to pitch is not going to be more extreme than what President Obama and John Kerry was able to put together many years ago. But Trump issues this strong warning, strong as far as that goes, issues these warnings. They're going to take some type of action, then they don't. Now Trump chickens out. These comments come after the escalation of hostilities between these two countries. Now, this conflict can spread throughout the entire Middle East. Trump announced that the plan had been canceled, right? Trump chickens out. According to Donald Trump, the diplomatic discussions made enough progress that military action was no longer necessary, at least for now. And this is something that we've seen with Trump many times. It's something that he's used in other facets of business. And it's, we're mad. We're getting ready to walk out of the negotiations, something with the house or some real estate. And then he'll act like he's going to leave and then he'll come back. But you can't do this consistently in real world application. But according to Trump, the discussions are making enough progress, right? Now, that announcement immediately changed the entire conversation. So instead of preparing for another round of attacks, the focus then shifted to whether diplomacy might actually produce a breakthrough. This is the same song and dance that Trump does often. Why does America continue to fall for this? I don't know. Why this sudden reversal? I don't think that Trump wants this type of drama. He realizes that Iran is not Venezuela. But the biggest question is, I would say, relatively simple. And that is this. Why threaten military action and then pull back only hours later? Why do it? Why does someone pull a gun and then not use it? Supporters of Donald Trump and this administration are arguing that the threat itself Right? They're so scared that the threat itself may have been part of a negotiation strategy. This is something that supporters of Trump have been using for years. Like, he's playing three-dimensional chess. No, that Bama can't even play Uno, right? The idea is that by demonstrating military readiness, the United States increased pressure, and supposedly this scared Iran and made them return to serious negotiations. I'm not buying it. He's been saying and doing this kind of stuff for a long time. And it's like the little boy that cried wolf, right? How long are you going to be able to use this type of elementary school strategy, if you can even use that word? I'm saying that the rapid shift creates uncertainty, and it raises concerns about the consistency of the U.S. foreign policy. Donald Trump has a lot of amateurs around him and trying to help with foreign policy. It is not really a good representation of the U.S. I and other observers are asking whether this administration was responding to new intelligence, international pressure, or some additional economic concerns. And there are a lot with regards to oil or some other type of political calculation. Sometimes I don't think that they're even planning. They're just going by the seat of their pants. At this point, the White House says that diplomacy is making progress, but we have heard this over and over again. I think that this is like we're either at the 9th or the 10th point that Trump and his cronies say that they've ended the war, the war that's not a war. The challenge is actually that Iran has not publicly confirmed all of Trump's claims regarding an imminent agreement. So the two sides don't seem to be talking. What I find ironic is that Trump claimed that the military of Iran was decimated, yet they're still able to shoot, our aircraft out of the sky with the depleted military, right? Whatever. But there are a lot of questions, and there are a lot of unanswered questions. So we need to talk about what is actually at stake, because this is a serious thing. Trump wants to call it a war, then he doesn't want to call it a war. But whenever tensions rise between the United States and Iran, the consequences extend far beyond just those two countries. We are talking about a bigger conflict here, because the oil, the petroleum, is in the balance. Iran sits in one of the most strategically important regions in the world. And because for a long time, America and other countries have refused to turn away from fossil fuel, and global energy markets, international shipping routes, military alliances, regional security are all affected when we have this type of conflict between our countries, between the United States and between Iran. The Middle East is what they call a powder keg. Now, even Americans, we are thousands of miles away, but we can still feel the impact through gas prices, through inflation concerns, and through this economic uncertainty. We are in the midst of the midterms, and Republicans have got to know that these conflicts, these issues, these problems that are stemming from the Middle East are going to have an effect on the midterm elections. That is why investors and world leaders closely watch every development in this conflict. And Donald Trump knows this. And so he continues to play them like a fiddle. the announcement that strikes were canceled were, I guess, generally viewed as a sign of de-escalation. But of course, he can, throw some ketchup on the wall, get his bloomers in a bunch, and then say that everything's back on again. No one should assume that this crisis is over. It is not over. It is not over by a long shot. Military assets remain in that region. Tensions are very high and remain high. And both governments, the United States and Iran, continue to exchange strong rhetoric. So while you have all that going on, things can easily pop off at any moment. They can pop off at any moment. They can do something that Trump doesn't like, and he's going to get on his social media site and start talking crazy talk. And, that there is a political impact. Now, this situation also carries some major implications. There, as I said, we're at the midterm, so there's going to be some type of fallout. Trump at this point campaigned heavily on avoiding new foreign wars. Of course, he lies and says this is not a new foreign war. We weren't in this war at first. But he's trying to project strength on the world stage. But the only people that think he is strong are his diehard supporters. Nobody else is even buying any of this. He can't even walk in a straight line. But the goals can sometimes come into conflict, right? So he has a goal. He's trying to project strength. But on the other hand, on the other side of the equation, you have actions that are causing many voters to want the tough stance. But is it really a tough stance? I am very skeptical about becoming involved in another prolonged military conflict overseas, aka a war. And I think that a lot of Americans are at that point. Trump was saying to anybody that would listen that Kamala, that Hillary, that Biden was going to get America in a war in Iran. And we are in a conflict with Iran right now that was initiated by Donald Trump. And as a result, every decision involving Iran is being viewed through both a national security lens and a political lens because it is that important. The administration now faces the challenge of convincing Americans, and this is going to be difficult. They are facing the challenge of convincing Americans that diplomacy can achieve results while maintaining deterrence. So I don't know if that is strength. Is crying wolf strength? Is backing down every time at the ninth hour? Is that actually strength? Whether voters see this latest move as strategic leadership or mixed messaging, this is going to likely depend on what happens next. We don't know what's going to happen next. We are following this very closely. It is unpredictable. But at the end of the day, Americans do not want another long-term, what they call never-ending war. Now, for now, the missiles are not flying. That is a good thing. I want this thing to be over, and I want our men and women out of that region where the tension is high. Plane strikes have been called off for now, and that is a good thing. The larger question here, the bigger, thing that folks want to know, those are unanswered. We still have no idea about a lot of things, and that's a major problem. Trump has never come to the American people or the Congress for that matter and requested anything. He's just doing stuff. But if the United States and Iran are truly moving toward an agreement, that would be a good thing. But considering that the agreement that they come up with is still going to fall short of what things were like before this conflict even started, the Straits of Hormuz were open. Right? This debacle has not been a successful use of diplomatic pressure. We are simply witnessing a temporary pause in a conflict that could reignite in any moment. The day after tomorrow, this thing could be on and popping once again, but we're going to continue to follow every development right here on the Diamond K Show. Of course, onfirebroadcasting.com, Radio on Fire. Anywhere you get your podcast, just type in The Diamond K Show, and you can follow us on youtube.com/DJ Diamond K. But I want to hear from you. I want to know your thoughts. Do you think this is another example of Trump tacoing? Is this another example of Trump chickening out? Did he make the right decision by canceling the strikes? Or do you think he should have been a man of his word? That's hilarious right there. A man of his word, right? Should the United States pursue diplomacy? Should we increase pressure? Or should we take a different approach altogether? Let me know, of course, in the comment section. You need to get in touch with me, djdiamondk@gmail.com, and on all social media, I am at The Diamond K Show. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. As always, visit us on firebroadcasting.com, Radio on Fire. And if you enjoyed this broadcast, or if I made you mad, either way, give us a like, leave a comment. I love to interact with folks, whether you agree with me or whether you disagree. Subscribe and share, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Hey, yo, what's up, y'all? This is DMC, and the place to be, and the only place for y'all to ever be is rocking and rolling and hip and hopping with the Diamond K Show podcast, because we will outlast them all.